What is up, guys? It is time. It is time for the fall 2023 anime season edition of Your Favorite Anime is Not Doing Good in Japan, a seasonal video series that Andrew created in order to justify his like for really obscure anime titles that everybody in the West doesn't seem to want to watch. A series to compare the popularity charts in the West to a lot of different ranking sites and whatnot in Japan. As per usual, the disclaimer here, these are based on charts and ranking systems that are aggregated in Japan based on different sites that are similar to MAL, TV ranking, researches, and viewership rankings on different video sites themselves. These rankings could be possibly influenced by sponsorships and availability on different platforms, so take everything here with a grain of salt. But yeah, with all that said, let's jump into the rankings. To start things off, let's look at what's currently popular in the West. Our measure that we're going to use here is MAL and anichart. A really good site to kind of give you a sense of how many people are actually watching certain shows just by memberships and popularity on each of their pages. Of course, no shock, on both sites we're seeing Jujutsu Kaisen is way up at the top. Like, there is no competition here. Jujutsu Kaisen second season is just beating everybody by a mile. I was kind of shocked to see that Attack on Titan with its final season, final chapter, part 2 something, that was not so high. And that might be because it was a single episode that was just dropped, or it might be because people weren't too happy with it. MAL has it at rank 2, whereas anichart has it way down at 5. Beyond there, we're kind of seeing quite a similarity in both sides, where we have Spy Family, second season, Shield Hero, third season, frieren, Innocent Saddle, second season, followed by Goblin Slayer, second season. Then my first personal disappointments in these two charts is that frieren on MAL is way down at 5. And additionally, Apothecary Diaries, what I think is easily my second favorite of the season, is way down at 9 and 10 for MAL and anichart. Now, easily the biggest shock, because I understand that a lot of the stuff that I enjoy isn't always going to be popular in the West. I mean, I experienced that with Onimai. Onimai was just abysmal on all these charts. The biggest shock that I have, honestly, is Shangri-La Frontier. That was a series that I thought was going to take off like crazy in the West. I mean, it's just crazy action, lots of fun. It's got that tinge of Sword Art Online, but without the death aspect. Just somebody in a virtual game just having a blast. And the animation has been absolutely incredible. But no, way down at 11 and 12 for MAL and anichart. It's like, why is this so low? I am a little bit shocked that 100 Girlfriends is way down at 13 and 14 for anichart and MAL. It seems like that show, at least whenever it airs, a lot of people around, at least my circles, are just going crazy over it. It's doing a really good job of kind of changing the mold that you typically get from harem shows, and it's just really fun to watch. Another kind of shocker is Pluto, which again, this might be the same issue that Attack on Titan had, where Pluto kind of just did a full dump on Netflix. That show is like down at 15 for anichart and way down at 20 for MAL. I assume that show would have gotten a lot more popularity and be way higher on the list. But again, it might be because it just kind of died down over time. Another big upset that I have is Dark Gathering. I have been chiming for people to watch that show ever since it first started airing. I think it's helping. I think slowly it's kind of rising up in the list, but it's still way down there at 17 on MAL and 20 on anichart. Come on, people. Go watch that show. One thing I do want to note for later on is Excalibur Academy. That show is down at 21 for MAL and 22 for anichart. Now, that is really decent for a show like that. Typically, shows like that are kind of just a run-of-the-mill. Most people don't even pay attention to it, but at least it's in the 20s. And the last ones that I want to note is Arknights at 45 and 46. Come on, people. Arknights is amazing. And additionally, Butareba is way down at 46 and 47. And then Yuzuki Family's at 47. These shows are all really fantastic, and they're way in the realms of the shows that nobody is watching. But now that we got a sense of what's popular in the West, let's go to what's important, which is what's popular in Japan. Because we all know that doesn't matter what we think. It matters what Japan thinks. Now, the charts that we're going to go through is Anikore, which is pretty much like a myanimelist for Japan. Abema, which is a streaming service. NicoNico, which is a streaming service. And additionally, we'll get into video research by Kanto, which is pretty much a TV ranking system survey, as well as Anime Iga, which is another kind of ranking system as well. Kicking things off with Anikore. Right off the bat, number 1, Pluto. Finally, we see, at least in some sort of database for anime, that Pluto gets some attention, which is definitely deserved. Right behind that is frieren, which I'm super happy to see as well. There is a weird oddity that comes with frieren when it comes to a lot of these rankings that we're going to go through. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that frieren is airing on a theatrical TV station. I think a lot of people are probably watching it there and not on sites like Abema and NicoNico. But again, it deserves it. It has been absolutely incredible. The quality of it and everything is super amazing. I think overall, across the board, West and Japan, I think both Frieren and Apothecary Diaries are doing really fantastic, and that's really good to see. With how much effort was put into Frieren, and it seemingly like their production schedule was not a catastrophe like another show, it's good to see that's kind of being rewarded. Right behind that is Dr. Stone, which is not a big surprise. I'm more surprised that that's not as popular in the West. Then we have Image and Shadow, like I said, Apothecary Diaries, which is fantastic. Uma Musume Pretty Derby, Season 3. This is kind of similar to the previous seasons. I always see Uma Musume is really popular in Japan, where in the West, it's not so popular. It's a massive franchise in Japan, and I think that's partly due to the fact that it has a really great mobile app that a lot of people are really into as well. Tear Moon Empire, right behind it. I'm happy to see Tear Moon Empire is at least popular in Japan. That one is another one that is completely missing in Mal and Anichart, and that's a massive criminal thing because that's a really fantastic show. MF Ghost, 16-Bit Sensation, another two really good shows that are completely non-existent in the West. Then finally, Spy Family, second season, which is a shocker there, and then Saints Magic Power, Shy, Stardust, Telepath, Shield Hero, Tokyo Revengers, then Yuzuki Family, Migi and Dali, Vexations, and Daigo. Really happy to see those ones up there as well, because there are a lot of shows that I adore that are just completely ignored in the West. Now let's transition over to the streaming platforms that we have data out of, which is Abema and NicoNico. Starting off with Abema, we kick things off with Frieren. That is just taking over that platform seemingly as number one, easily placed, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, number two, this is where things get a little bit more weird. And the idea, this is probably the most wild card of the entire season. If you're going to ask me, what is the one that's surprising that it's popular in Japan, but not over here? Well, it's not surprising. It's just the oddest ball out of all of them, which, yes, is Demon Sword of Excalibur Academy. Yes, number two. It's like actually right behind Frieren. It's like it's creeping up. It's just wanting to pass so much. If you add in the viewership of NicoNico, yes, it passes Frieren because I don't even think Frieren is even available on NicoNico. But yeah, like I said, easily the oddest one out of the entire list. Now, going right up behind that one is another odd one, which is S-Rank Daughter. Yes, that one is also another one that's kind of a surprise. And again, Excalibur Academy and S-Rank, what could be happening here is legitimately just availability. I know for a fact Excalibur Academy is actually exclusive on Abema, like for like a week or 2 weeks before any other platform. So it makes sense why everybody goes to Abema to watch that rather than anywhere else, rather than like Frieren, which Frieren, you can watch it multiple places. I mean, it's everywhere. So anyways, it kind of answers that question. Following up S-Rank, we have Spy Family, which is at number 4. And then we have Image and Shadow, which is at number 5. Then we have Apothecary Diaries way at 6, which is a little unfortunate, but again, it's also on NicoNico and doing really well there. So adding those two together, it pretty much becomes number 1. Goblin Slayer right behind that. Goblin Slayer second season. Then we have I Will Survive by Potions, number 8. I Will Survive by Potions. It finally is recognized somewhere. That's fantastic. It's not an amazing series, but it is definitely one that I'm enjoying. It's definitely nowhere near as good as 80,000 Gold. And then number 9, we have Shangri-La Frontier. Again, finally, somewhere that series is getting recognition. And then finally, I think the first time we've seen Disgraced Noble Lady at number 10, which that series is also a nice sugary type of show, which is technically the point of the show, is he wants to spoil her with things like sugary stuff. And then on to 11, we have Vexations of a Vampire Princess. Finally, Japan recognizes the wonders of Terekomari. Finally, somebody recognizes our lolly vampire princess. Then we go to number 12, which is Returners Magic, which I think is a pretty solid series. Berserker Gluttony, Saints Magic Powers, Omnipotent, some VR MMO dudes play through, and then number 16, Buta Reba. Ooh, way down there. But again, at least it's getting recognition. Then we have Shield Hero second season, Tear Moon Empire, 100 Girlfriends Who Really, Really Love You, and finally, number 20, Villainous. Yes, finally somebody also loves I'm in Love with a Villainous. Moving over to NicoNico. Again, vastly different list, even though they're kind of supplying similar shows. And again, that's mostly because some exclusivities on one platform over another. Starting off with number 1, another one that's similar to Excalibur Academy. Another shocker, but if you know Japan, it's not a shocker. Uma Musume Pretty Derby, third season. Yes, number 1 on NicoNico. Pretty crazy. Again, Japan, they love Uma Musume Pretty Derby. They have an app over there. It's very popular. Even the previous seasons, I've seen them high on the rankings. So not too much of a shock there. But then right behind it, Apothecary Diaries. Again, if you add the two platforms up together, easily number 1. But at least number 2 for Apothecary Diaries. And I love that because that series is fantastic. Then we go to number 3, which is Shangri-La Frontier. Again, Japan's recognizing it. Japan loves it. It's pretty much Sword Art Online without the death and all that kind of stuff. It's a really fun series. Number 4, Innocent Shadow, 2nd season. 5, Family Circumstances. That's another one that's kind of an oddball that seemingly Japan is enjoying a lot more than we are over here. Number 6, Undead Unluck. Great to see that one getting recognition as well. Number 7, Vexations. Again, Japan knows Vexations. It's a fantastic series. Then number 8, Butoreba. Like I said earlier, it's way down low in the American side of things, or the West, but over in Japan, they're enjoying it. Then we have Excalibur Academy for number 9, Shield Hero 3rd season, Spy Family 2nd season finally. Number 12, Kingdoms of Ruin, Ragnar Crimson, VR MMO, Saints Magic Power, Berserk of Gluttony, Returner's Magic, Tier Moon Empire, 100 Girlfriends Who Really Really Love You, and Villainous. It's kind of odd that both platforms, number 19 is 100 Girlfriends. That's kind of an odd one, as well as, I'm in love with the Villainous and Tier Moon, but yeah. Now moving on to TV ranking surveys. This is something that before didn't really yield too much interesting information when I've looked at these before. But this season, it seems like there's a lot of stuff that are popping up on these ranking systems that's outside of your usual things like Crayon Shin-chan and Doraemon. Video Research in Kanto has listed Firefire Daigo as number 1. That was kind of a shocker. Again, another series that I don't see anybody talking about, but Firefire Daigo, in a general sense, the franchise itself is very popular. So I guess it makes sense that it's getting really high on the rankings. Then number 2, we have Frieren, which that makes perfect sense. Again, it's a TV broadcast. That's why it's probably not on a lot of the other platforms' high rankings. Then Precure, One Piece, and Jujutsu Kaisen 2nd season. Now, Anime Ega, we have Spy Family 2nd season as number 1. Jujutsu Kaisen 2nd season is number 2, and then we have Frieren. So 2 different aggregations for different regions, because Kanto is technically a specified region. Then we go on to Apothecary Diaries, Pokemon, Rurouni Kenshin, Shangri-La Frontier, Tokyo Revengers, Shield Hero 3rd season, and Precure. So yeah, overall, some very, very interesting layouts. Now, I will admit, for fall season, it really does feel like the Japanese audience ranking system, charts, whatever, are kind of lining up really well with the West. Yes, like I said, there is these oddities, things like Excalibur Academy, which is just way up there on sites like Abema, which again, makes sense. This is a sort of reincarnation / isekai type of layout that a lot of people really enjoy. It's just a fun show to watch. It's kind of the epitome of escapism. And then things like Idolmaster and Uma Musume, which is doing really well over there, that's not really getting any attention over here. I love it, the Villainous as well. But outside of those ones, I think overall there's a nice kind of spread here. Things like Frieren and Apothecary Diaries, Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, Shield Hero, Spy Family. It's been a very equal season for a lot of the regions. I will say, and I probably won't ever say this again, I have been very happy with how well Apothecary Diaries and Frieren has been doing in the West. These are 2 shows that I was excited for. I could not wait for the fall season to watch these 2 shows. And they're easily my number 1 and number 2 favorite of the entire season. But they were 2 shows that I didn't think would do at all well in the West. And then here we are. The season's going, and they're very popular. And I'm very happy for that. It's a very rare case where I'm watching these shows and I don't have to worry about making my top 10 list for the season because everybody's going to agree that these 2 shows are really fantastic. Typically, I'm doing like Onima is my number 1 and everybody hates it. But yeah, that's your fall 2023 anime season edition of Your Favorite Anime Is Not Popular in Japan. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment. Let me know what your favorite of the season are. Are you matching up with Japan? Or are you matching up with the West? Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button's got my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.